so welcome to another reading vlog. I'm starting the vlog down here because I wanted to show you the TBR mess that I have gotten myself into. So firstly, I spent the last two reading vlogs trying to get through The Painted Man. I've got about 150 pages to go, so I'm going to try and get through that today. Otherwise, I think I'm going to go crazy. Plus, I do just want to know how this is going to end, because so far, I don't really see how everything's going to come together in just 150 pages, but hopefully I'll be surprised. So otherwise, this section here that you can just see, it's a bit low, but these are the books that I need to read for the rest of the month, and it's quite a lot of books. So I do think for this week, I'm going to prioritize the ones that are for the Tome Infinity Readathon. So that means these two. So we've got the first 15 lives of Harry August. Did I say that right? And also the mini lives of Stephen Leeds. Hey, these are both about lots of lives. Interesting. So those two. Also, the Descender graphic novels that I picked up from the library last week. I don't think I'm going to pick up 5th season yet. I might save that for next week, just because after having to push through so long on The Painted Man, I think if I have to push through another big dense fantasy straight away, I probably won't enjoy myself so much, so I want to do some quicker reads for a little bit. I probably do need to at least pick up one other Death Note this week before my brother starts asking questions again. But I guess I better not overcommit to reading too much, so this is what we have available to read, and we will see what we actually managed to get done. Also, audiobooks wise, I'm nearly finished with Every Heart a Doorway, which is a reread for me by Sean Maguire. I'll probably finish that when I go for a walk with my mum and my sister later today, and then I'm going to start in with Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, which is the last book in the Themis files, and I'm quite excited to finish the series, so that'll be cool. Also, it does count towards the Tome Infinity Readathon, so it's a win in every way possible. Anyway, I do have a lot of other stuff I want to get done this week, and we are also going away on another trip this weekend, so I'm not going to do excessive reading, but hopefully we can fit in enough reading that I can satisfy my reading urges as well as getting lots of stuff done in the rest of my life. But we'll see how the balance works out, and I'll check in when I've finished reading something. Good morning. So last night I was going to check in once I finished The Painted Man, but it turned out it was quite late by the time I finished it, but I did finish it. Hooray, finally. I feel like it took me forever, and I don't know why, but it took me forever. And in the end, I'm not sure how I feel about this book. Like, I really liked the demons and the world, but I found it really strange the way that in the beginning it was so slow, like telling us all about these different characters' childhood, and I guess that was like laying the foundation for why they ended up the way they did. But then when they got to be kind of older, it rushed through things quite a lot, and I don't really understand that change in pacing. So I felt like when they were children, their characters were really well developed, but then as adults, their characters weren't as well developed. And I feel like it was trying with all the childhood stuff to give you a really good foundation of them. But I feel like if I told you all about my childhood, you still wouldn't understand how I became the person I am today, because like adulthood influences who you are. So the change in pace was weird, and also the romance was weird. That said, I still think that it is a really interesting story, so I definitely will be continuing with the series. And there were things that I really loved about this. Like, I really did love the demons, and there were parts of the story I just really liked. I just don't know why it rushed through things so much in the end. I guess because, you know, it was 500 pages and we haven't really covered anything yet, so we better hurry up, was the thinking. Anyway, I finished with that. I don't know when I'll get to the next book in the series. So also yesterday when I went for a walk with my sister, I finished listening to Every Heart a Doorway. Again, I remember now, it was just a 3-star, this one. It was okay. It's definitely a different experience reading it knowing who the murderer is. And I'm interested to read the rest of the series, because I feel like some of the things that happened in the first book, or some of the things that were said about the different characters' worlds, didn't line up with what happened in some of the later books, but maybe I'm just misremembering things, so I'll reread or re-listen to the other books in the series and we'll see how everything lines up. My memory's not that good, so I probably won't remember by the time I get to the next books. Also, last night I did manage to read about 10 pages of Legion, The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds by Brandon Sanderson. I am really enjoying it. I do feel like I was going to check actually when this book was published or when the first story was published. 2012 by the looks of it. That's not that long ago. I felt like maybe the writing wasn't Brandon Sanderson's best writing, but it could just be that this is a more contemporary setting, whereas most of the stuff I've read from him has been quite high fantasy. So it will be interesting to see how this goes, given that it's quite a different setting. I've only just started. 10 pages is not very much at all. But I kind of want to finish reading this today, really, if I was going to get on top of things, because I will be able to count this towards Tome Infinity. Well, I'm not sure really where it's set yet, but we'll work that out. But I'm hoping to be able to use this for Tome Infinity. Also, I've been listening to, this morning while I went to the supermarket, I've been listening to Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, so the last book in the Themis Files. I am loving it. I remember I really love Vincent's character. I'm a little bit unhappy with the accent they've given Eva as an adult, but I'll probably get over that. And I also really love Catherine Lebrevna, the new character. She's pretty cool bitch. So I'm really glad to be back into that series, and I'm going to try and listen to as much of that today as well. So far, most of it is set in Russia, which is good for the Tome Infinity Readathon because I'm trying to read a book in every continent, and Russia would help. Anyway, I want to go and do lots of stuff today because it's nice and sunny and I've got lots of like outside housework stuff to do. So I'm going to do that and we'll try and fit in some reading sometime today, I guess. Hey, so it's Wednesday afternoon. I'm about to go into town, meet up with a friend, go to a meetup. Actually, a friend of mine is giving the talk this time, so it should be really interesting because I know he's really good. But I thought before I head off, I should update you on my reading. So last night I did firstly finish Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, actually while I was cleaning out my sock drawer because I realized I have like way too many pairs of socks, and every time I want to try and find them I have to dig through all the ones that are just too crap to wear or like not my style anymore. So I got rid of all of the crap ones. I'm going to put the ones that are still wearable up in the clothing bin, and now I have a wonderful sock drawer in my life. Perfect. Also, I did really enjoy Only Human. Like, I cannot recommend this series enough if you like sci-fi, especially the audiobook. The acting of the narrators is really amazing. Like, probably the best acting I've ever heard in an audiobook, and I just love the characters so much. I love the themes that the story looks at. So it's all about what does it mean to be human and how we as society might figure out how to all get along. I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad to have read that series, and I will definitely be rereading it at some point. After that, I did make an effort to finish Legion, but I'm only like a quarter of the way through. I did finish the first story of the 3 novellas that are bound up in this, and wow, the ending of that did not wrap things up at all. So I assume that when he wrote that first novella, he was always planning to write the rest of the novellas, because cliffhangers at the end of novellas are not my favorite. But then I was just too tired, so I fell asleep, and I haven't read any more because today I've been doing some work studying. Today's like a working kind of day since I'm going to a meetup anyway. So I guess when I get home from town, I'll try and make some more progress on this, but I doubt I'll finish it, to be honest, because I'm going to want some sleep. Sleep is a really good thing. Also this morning I did start Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is not part of the Tome Infinity Readathon, but it's going to return itself, so I need to get to it if I'm going to. I'm not sure how I feel about it so far. Like, everyone who's talked about this audiobook has said it's so great that the podcast is like a real podcast, but the podcast is actually the part of the story that I like the least. I much prefer the part of the story that is Sadie telling her own story. So I find it really weird. The podcast has like these little snippets of interviews, like even just one line sometimes. I'm like, why? And I don't really understand the point of the podcast guy being part of the story. Maybe it will become clear as I get through it. I think, only like an hour or two into the audiobook. I will be able to read a lot more of this while I'm heading into town, so we'll see how far I can get through that. And otherwise, I think that is all for now, so I'll probably see you tomorrow. Hey, so it's Friday morning. I'm right now just waiting for Jace to come around because we are going to go on a trip down to Hamilton. We're going to go to a caravan show, which will be fun, but probably I won't get much reading done. And also, I still haven't finished Legion, The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds. I am on the last of the 3 novellas. I think my problem is that the main character doesn't have much of a personality. Like, I quite like all his different aspects, his other personalities, but he himself is kind of bland, and like, he's just solving all these cases. And while the cases are interesting, so like the first one, there's this camera where he can take, or where people can take photos of the past, and the second one, there's people who are using like their body parts as like backup data storage. So like, there's cool cases, but he's just solving these cases as something to focus all his different personalities on. It's not like he's personally invested really, and so as a character he doesn't really seem to have much clear motivation, and so I think that's why I'm not connecting with him and not really getting into the story. Like, it's interesting, but it's just not quite what I expected. Anyway, I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more of his actual story in this final novella. So I'm trying to finish it before Jason comes around, but looking at the time, I think it's very unlikely. And I was also going to take the first 15 lives of Harry August to start while we're away on holiday, but honestly, when we're away, I hardly read at all. And we're probably only just going away for one night, so there won't be a lot of reading time, but that's okay. I'll read what I can. Also, I did yesterday manage to finish the audiobook of Sadie, and I have to say, when I got to the end, I was actually walking around the mall when I got to the end, and I thought, did I miss something? And I actually went back because the ending was just so unsatisfying that I thought for sure I must have missed something. So I went back, and no, it just doesn't really tell you what happened. And I kind of understand that it's leaving it open in that way because that's how so many of these stories really end, but so unsatisfying, the ending. I thought the actual story was okay, and I imagine people who really like contemporary and thrillers would find it a really interesting story, but for me, I wanted a better ending. Also, definitely trigger warnings on that book for child molestation and sexual abuse. Very important topic to cover, but sometimes hard to read. Anyway, I am going to attempt to read as much of this as I can now before Jess shows up, and then we'll see what we see on our holiday. I don't want to.
Not telling me what you want.
Everything's about what I want. For me, it is. So how does it work in here?
Well, they just push those into the ground and hopefully it holds up.
Was that your way of convincing me to go on the bridge? Why do we get onto the swing bridge through a cave? I don't want to. We don't want to.
Don't go on. Go back while you still can.
It's scary though, isn't it? Like, and I don't feel like I can hold on to the handrails because I feel like you have to lean over too far. So it is Sunday now. We did get back from our holiday yesterday. I definitely wish that it had been longer, although it was nice to come home and have a nice long sleep in a real bed rather than sleeping in the back of the truck. I don't think I included yet anything about sleeping in the truck, but we just sleep in the back of Jason's SUV. It's quite comfortable. Though it's not ideal when you need to get up at 4 AM to go to the toilet, and the toilet is a decent walk away and it's freezing. So I need to practice controlling my bladder in the evening before we go away on some more holidays, which we definitely will be planning to do a lot of this summer. It was not summery weather yet, like it was sunny, but there was still quite a cold wind. We're trying to convince ourselves it's summer, but it's not really. Anyway, reading wise, I didn't read anything while I was on holiday. We were just exploring nature, looking at caravans. There was no time for reading, which is fine. Today though, I did manage to finish, finally, The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds. I have to say, in the end, I was quite disappointed with this. I mean, I don't even know, am I gonna give it 3 stars? There were these hints the whole way through that there was going to be a bigger storyline around this woman named Sandra that he knew. But in the end, I found that just really disappointing and nothing-ish. And all the cases he solved, just the way that he used his other aspects was quite convenient rather than like cleverness, which I usually expect from Brandon Sanderson. And I just, for a lot of this, I found it really hard to feel engaged. And I don't think that was just me. I think that this just somehow didn't quite cut it. So that's very disappointing, not what I expected at all. And now I still have a lot more books to read. So I was thinking about finishing this vlog here, but I want to try and finish some more things off tonight, so we will vlog that as well, I guess. Who really knows what I'll actually show you. So this is my pile of books for the things that I want to finish off this month. Quite a big pile. What I was thinking is tonight, like it's nearly 7 o'clock already tonight, but I was going to try and finish off the 2 Descender graphic novels that I've got. That shouldn't take too long, and then also maybe try and get through a couple more of the Death Notes that I've borrowed from my brother, and then we'll be left with this pile for next week, which is maybe doable, maybe. I don't know. These will become next week's problem. But I'm going to go and see if I can make some progress on these and also do some walking around the house, because I was trying to keep up with the steps I did last week, and last week I clearly did a lot of steps because I'm very far behind this week. So I'm going to try and do some, even though I don't think I'll catch up fully. I just wasn't as awesome this week as I was last week. Sometimes it happens because you can't keep getting infinitely more awesome. Sometimes you have to go backwards. Anyway, I'm going to read and then I'll let you know how we're going before we fall asleep. Because falling asleep is definitely on the cards for tonight as well. So I just finished volume 4 of Descender, and my heart, so many things happened throughout it that just made me be like, no, my babies. I care about so many of these characters and the things that are happening are just awful. I'm gonna read the next volume straight away right now, but I just wanted to like fully express how many feelings this series makes me have about so many things. I just love the characters so much. Also, when I got to this page, I suddenly thought, is there Descender merch? Because how cool would Descender merch be? And I looked it up and I found this really cool t-shirt and I really want it. It was $50 New Zealand and I really can't justify spending that kind of money at the moment. So it's led to me creating a list of things I want to buy when I have some more money again. I really love this. This is a 5-star for sure. And now we will continue with the next volume in the series. Okay, so I have finished volume number 5. It wasn't quite as good as number 4, but it was still really good. Like, it wasn't as mind-blowing. Like number 4, so many things happened. This, actually a lot of things happened and some funny things. I laughed out loud at this. But everything is like coming to the climax. There is one more volume of this, and for some reason I didn't get that out of the library when I got 4 and 5. So I've just put a hold on it. But there is a little bit of a queue, so hopefully it won't take too long to come, because I really want to know what's going to happen next. And like, all things are starting to get very exciting, and I really do need to know what's going to happen next. That is turning out to be one of my favorite graphic novel series ever. Maybe my favorite, but I'll wait until I've read the last volume to decide that. So now I am going to pick up a Death Note 8. I have no idea who this character is, so that will be interesting to find out who it is. It is already 8:30 now, so I think I probably won't get to 9 tonight, but if I could get through 8, at least then I can tell my brother I have made some progress. Also, I've just realized, like, I didn't really talk about what Descender is about, because I've been reading it for a while now, but it's like robots versus humans. All the robots killed a bunch of humans. Now the humans are trying to get revenge, but the robots are also trying to get revenge for what the humans are doing, and it's just beautiful and lovely. Death Note obviously is the story about a notebook where you can write people's names and then they die, and a bunch of stuff happens around that. I don't know. I'm not in the mental space to give you some good synopses right now, but I've talked about this a lot. Everybody knows what it's about, right? Anyway, I need to actually read if I'm gonna finish them off. That's how it works. Okay, it is Monday morning. Turns out I did fall asleep while I was reading Death Note 8. I shouldn't have gone to bed. I knew as soon as I put my head on the pillow that this was not going to keep me up. I do remember who this character is now though, so some big things changed in number 7, and this is continuing on with that. So I will be reading more of this today, but that'll have to be in a new vlog because it's Monday and this needs to be the end. So to quickly wrap things up, the only real physical book that I finished this week was Legion, because it was a bit of a struggle to get through and just a bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. But I did also manage to read the 2 Descender graphic novels, 4 and 5, and these more than made up for Legion because they were amazing and I am in love with this series. So audiobook wise, I do think I listened to 3 audiobooks this week. So Every Hearted Doorway, which was okay, but I'm more excited about rereading the other books in the series. I have put a hold on the second book, so hopefully I'll get that audiobook soon. Then I also listened to Only Human, which was the last book in the Themis Files. Absolutely loved it, so that was good. And then lastly I listened to Sadie, which was okay. So the only ones that counted for the Tome Infinity Readathon is these 3 plus Only Human. So I have so far managed to tick off 3 continents. This one I'm counting for North America. This one I'm counting for Asia because the artist is from Vietnam, I believe. And then Only Human I counted for Russia as part of Europe. Russia's like listed in both Europe and Asia, but I'm counting it for Europe so that I can tick off Europe because a significant piece of Only Human was set in Russia. So I've ticked off 3 continents, which means I've got 4 to go, so I'll have to try and finish those off next week as well. Otherwise, I think that's all for now. Once again, it's been fun hanging out with you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little trip to Hamilton and what I have read this week, and I will see you again soon.